everybody, DF here. Welcome to Beauties and Beasts, a podcast of all things Beauty and the Beast. Thank you for your patience, as last week I ended up with a tummy ache and wasn't able to record. So, sorry about that. As promised, finally, I'm doing Brother Bear, one of Disney's most underrated animated movies that came out in 2003, 9 years before Pixar's Brave, which also featured a main character transforming into a bear, and that I've already covered. Sorry, Pixar, Disney did it first, and in this movie, the bear transformation makes sense. See, when Disney decided to make a movie based on Native American / First Nation legends, and probably make up for the historically inaccurate mess that was Pocahontas, the writers were inspired by the numerous tales of people transforming into animals, from shamans taking on animal forms to people learning a lesson by walking in animal shoes, or paws. Disney was particularly drawn to the repeated use of bears, as they are a major symbol for many Native American and First Nation tribes. People who lived in North America. For Brother Bear, they focused on the Inuits in what is now called Alaska, back in the Ice Age, so as to avoid offending any surviving Inuits to this day. Also, this is not based on any real-life events, but rather an original story, first inspired by various Native American and First Nation myths, so it's already better than Pocahontas. Also, spoiler alert if you haven't seen this movie yet. I would like to thank my $5 plus patrons, Arvin Joshua Rocks 15, BellaPinkSavage, Cosmic Trail, nalaxsimba, and TyrannosaurusVenom. Remember, this podcast will be concluding this year, and when it does, I will be transferring everything to Patreon. In the meantime, you can show your support by buying my merchandise on Redbubble, including new designs featuring characters from my queer-coded comic strip on DeviantArt. Just go to DisneyFanatic23.redbubble.com. So, the movie Brother Bear opens up with a storyteller named Denahi, who tells the children the story of himself and his two brothers. The eldest, Sitka, was always trying to keep the other two out of trouble. And the youngest, Kenai, was always getting them into trouble. Maybe because he's voiced by Joaquin Phoenix, who would later play the Joker. Yeah, wrap that around your head. The Joker and Kenai from Brother Bear are played by the same guy. Okay. First critique on this film. None of these actors are of Native American or First Nation descent. Seriously, animal actors get passes since they're animals, but not one Native American actor in this cast? Oh well, in the end, they are good voices. Anyway, Kenai has just come of age, and as tradition in their tribe, to obtain man or womanhood, each member receives a totem, a stone carved into a specific animal that the Shaw woman, Tanana, receives from the great spirits who live in the northern lights. The animal represents a specific trait the individual must live by in order to become an adult. Kenai is excited, thinking he'll get something cool like a saber-toothed tiger for bravery. He's so excited for the ceremony that he neglects to tie up the basket of fish his brothers caught for the tribe, to keep the bears away. So, Tanana presents Kenai with his totem, the Bear of Love. And Kenai's like, what? I mean, there's nothing manly about love, right? But Tanana insists love is one of the most precious of totems. It reveals itself in unexpected ways. And once he allows love to guide his actions, he will place his handprint on the wall like all his ancestors before him. But his older brother Denahi teases him about it. Him skipping around and loving everybody and tossing flowers. Oh, yes. Lovey-dovey-dovey, so girly, not manly at all. Kenai's about ready to pound him, but Sitka calms him down, saying that just because Denahi's totem is wisdom, the wolf of wisdom, doesn't mean he's wise. And that they'll both realize their totems one day, just as Sitka learned that his eagle of guidance is about being a leader and looking after his brothers. But Kenai's like, But a bear doesn't love anybody. They don't think or feel. And then the basket of fish is discovered missing with bear tracks around. Perfect timing. Denahi scolds Kenai for not tying up the basket and getting it lost. So Kenai grabs a spear and follows the bear tracks to a half-destroyed basket, because that is totally smart, going off to fight a massive bear on your own. When he finds the bear responsible, and despite the bear not doing anything, Kenai throws rocks at it and arranges it. Again, totally smart! Kenai's brothers rush to his rescue, and the fight ends in Sitka destroying a glacier to stop the bear from getting to his brothers, sacrificing himself in the process. The glacier collapses into the river. The bear makes it out, but Sitka is nowhere to be found. Man, you know the movie's going to be an emotional roller coaster when you have a death this early in the film. After the funeral, Kenai insists he and Denahi go after the bear, but Denahi says that killing the bear is wrong. And Kenai goes, our brother is dead because of that monster. And Denahi says, I don't blame the bear, Kenai. From that line, you can gather that he blames Kenai. I mean, it was because he went after the bear that his brothers had to rescue him in the first place. So, Kenai goes off by himself, saying a man wouldn't just sit here and do nothing, throwing down his totem in front of Tanana. Denahi picks up his totem and goes after Kenai. Tanana then calls to Sitka's spirit, saying that his brothers still need his guidance. So, Kenai tracks down the bear, chases it to a mountaintop, and in the struggle, kills it. Yeah, Disney took a big risk starting off with an amoral character we can't exactly get behind. And then the Aurora Borealis appears with the spirits, including Sitka, who takes on an eagle form and carries Kenai into the sky, transforming him into a bear. The very thing he slaughtered. Denahi arrives, sees the bear, and Kenai's clothes, and thinks that his brother was killed by the bear, and so is determined to hunt him down. So, Kenai wakes up, being tended to by Tanana, to find that not only has his form changed, but the film's entire aspect ratio has changed. No, really. It shows how the protagonist's perspective changes. I love the artistic quality of this film. Tanana tells Kenai that if he wants to turn back into a human, he must go to the mountain where the lights touch the earth and plead for Sitka to help him make up for what he did wrong. But Kenai's like, I didn't do anything wrong. Typical man not taking responsibility for your actions. Excuse me. It doesn't take Kenai long to figure out he can understand other animals, including 2 Canadian moose named Ruttentooke. Sorry, that's how they go. Who naturally don't believe his claims that he's a man. And then Kenai gets caught in a hunter's trap, and a very talkative bear cub named Koda offers to get him out if he'll take him to the salmon run, where all the bears are catching salmon. And Kenai is like, sure, whatever, but no way a dumb little bear could get him down. And Koda gets him down. Yes, BellaPinkSavage, it's the baby! Ah! Don't we love Koda? And then a hunter shows up, or rather, Denahi. Kenai's happy to see his brother, but since Denahi doesn't speak bear, he doesn't know that it's really Kenai, and so he chases after him. Sheesh. Kenai and Koda lose Denahi under a glacier, and Kenai wonders aloud why he's chasing him. And Koda says, because that's what they do. And Koda talks about the salmon run, but Kenai says he won't take him because he's got his own problems. Until Koda mentions that he got separated from his mom, and that at the mountain where the lights touch the earth is near the salmon run. So Kenai reluctantly agrees to take on the adorable cub, who is also a bit annoying, on his little quest. So they start their journey, with Koda singing along with Phil Collins, the moose tagging along, and all of them hitching a ride on a herd of mammoths. When night falls, Koda points at the northern lights, saying, "You can see the spirits who made the changes in all the world, like the leaves changing colors." Kenai is surprised that a bear would know about the spirits, and he explains how his brother Sitka is up there, that if it wasn't for him, Kenai wouldn't be here. Koda asks what happened. Kenai says he was killed by a monster. And Koda says to the sky, "Thanks, Sitka. If it hadn't been for you, I never would have met Kenai. I always wanted a brother." Aww, why don't they have an aw button on this site? In the morning, Koda realizes that they're lost. Kenai gets into an argument with him, and they come across a wall of cave paintings, including one of a man fighting a bear. While Kenai glares at the bear, Koda says, "Those monsters are really scary, especially with those sticks." And Kenai sees that in Koda's eyes, humans are the monsters. Their journey takes them through a geyser field, where they run into a vengeful Denahi once again. And once they lose him, Koda asks why humans hate them so much. And Kenai's like, "We're bears, and you know how they are. Bears are killers." Koda's like, "I'm not like that. You're not like that. Most bears will look for any excuse to attack a human. But he attacked us." With no other argument, Kenai says, "You're just a cub. When you're older, you'll understand." Yeah, maybe he likes Koda, but he still hasn't gotten over his prejudice of all bears. So, when they do reach the salmon run and he's surrounded by bears, he's terrified. And then he sees that all the bears are acting like one big family, playing together, catching fish together, eating together with their own family games, not too different from humans, and Kenai's actually feeling right at home. Then the bears all play a game, passing around a salmon, sharing the most interesting things that happened to them this year. On Koda's turn, he describes how he got separated from his mom. They were eating fish, and then Mom smelled something and told Koda to hide. Then out jumps a hunter, who corners her against this big glacier, and then two more hunters show up. And in the fight, the glacier comes crashing down, and his mom falls into a river, and Kenai's like, "Oh my god, I killed this little cub's mother." Jeez. This is like the darkest, most hardcore plot twist that's ever come from Disney. Kenai goes off alone, horrified at what he's done. He didn't kill a mindless bear, but a mother protecting her cub, just as his own brother had died protecting him. Koda finds him, and Kenai has a story to tell that's kind of about a man, kind of about a bear, but mostly it's about a monster. So he tells the whole story and finishes with, "Koda, I did something very wrong. I don't like this story. Your mother's not coming." I'm sorry. This is just so sad. It's sad. This poor cub's just learned he's an orphan all because of this guy he's seen as his big brother. And Kenai's finally learned the error of his ways, but what good is that? Because there's no way Koda can forgive him for killing his mommy. Oh gosh. Damn, why do people hate on this movie? It's so beautiful. So, Koda runs off, and Kenai, seeing no other alternative, goes up to the mountain begging for the spirits for forgiveness. And Koda runs into Rut and Took, having a sibling squabble, and in seeing them forgive each other, Koda runs after Kenai, thinking, well, if they can change and forgive each other, then maybe I can forgive my new big brother for what he did. Although that's not an easy thing to forgive, so props to Koda. Up on the mountain, who should show up out of the blue but Denahi, who was led by Sitka's eagle spirit. he gets into a fight with Kenai, and Kenai begs Sitka to change him back. Koda intervenes and tries to get Denahi's spear away, and Kenai jumps in to protect him, just as his mom had. And that's when the spirits appear and change Kenai back, since he nearly gave his life to save the cub that he had orphaned. And Sitka appears too, and Denahi's like, "Oh shoot, I almost killed my brother!" Yeah, maybe this is why you don't kill random bears. They might be related to you in some way. Huh? Then Kenai sees Koda, and no longer able to understand him, and looks at the bear totem Denahi brought, and then decisively says, "He needs me." And Denahi says, "You know, he did look better as a bear." And Kenai, "No matter what, you'll always be my little brother." So Kenai is changed back into a bear. Koda gets to say goodbye to his mom's spirit. Kenai chooses to live with Koda and the other bears, while Denahi passes on the wisdom of his story, and Kenai gets to place his paw print on the wall of ancestors, now that he's become a man by becoming a bear. Dang, this movie doesn't get enough credit. So, as you can see, devoid of any romantic subplot, this movie is a brotherly Beauty and the Beast. Kenai being a beast in a number of ways. Not just physically turning into a beast, but he was just awful to begin with. And him seeing the error of his ways through the eyes of a cute little cub. Yeah, this movie does follow the trope of an immoral human being undergoing a beastly transformation in order to become a better person. So, if anyone wants to present the argument that Disney is racist for putting yet another main character of color in the role of an animal for the majority of the movie, yes, I hear you. I understand your point of view. It's happened at least 3 times now, along with Cusco and Tiana. It's not a trope solely used with a character of color, examples being Brave, Beauty and the Beast, and even Sword in the Stone. I mean, that kid turned into like 3 different types of animals, and nobody complained about that. Disney does it because it's a fairy tale thing, not a race thing. And in this movie's cultural context, it's in tribute to Native American and First Nation mythology. And keep in mind, the consensus in those cultures is that humans and animals are perceived as equals. Okay, I got a little too passionate on that delivery. Okay. Bear in mind, though, pun not intended, I am also a white person and can't speak for a whole minority. But even so, my research has shown there are very few complaints on this movie from the Inuit and surrounding cultures in Alaska, and that the shamanistic rituals presented are as accurate as you can get, considering it takes place before recorded history. Whereas Pocahontas was based on actual historical events, and therefore Brother Bear is considered far less problematic by Native American First Nation folk. At least what I've seen in my research. If anyone would like to correct me, feel free. Okay, cultural criticism out of the way. Remember, this is analysis. I need to look at it from all angles. Let's look at what Brother Bear means as a whole. And I will say, it is a social commentary on toxic masculinity. You'd think I wouldn't like this film because it's full of males with very few prominent females. Except what I like about it is that it shows what it truly means to be a man. At the beginning, Kenai thinks being a man means being all strong and tough and brave and pulling pranks on people. Basically, the macho male stereotype of boys will be boys, Doesn't help that Denahi's always teasing him. So when the totem he gets is love, a totally unmanly thing, he thinks it's a mistake. And when he loses his brother, his first thought is revenge, and he ends up orphaning a bear cub. In short, this movie shows that all our actions have consequences, and that as a man, or rather an adult, you must take responsibility for those actions. Even the smallest actions can set up an unexpected chain of consequences. Right from Kenai refusing to tie up the basket of fish, leading to Koda and his mom taking the basket, Denahi scolding Kenai, Kenai going after the basket and attacking the bear, Sitka sacrificing himself to save him, and then Kenai killing the bear, orphaning the cub, becoming the thing he slaughtered, and then Denahi falling into the same circle, and so on and so forth. Denahi and Koda serve as foils for Kenai. Denahi in danger of making Kenai's mistakes, and Koda representing the impulsive child that Kenai is. Koda not only gives Kenai a perspective as a bear, but what his older brothers had to deal with. Except Koda is not as selfish, just very energetic. And keep in mind, Koda actually is a kid, whereas Kenai is not a kid anymore. And it's through Koda's eyes that Kenai sees what a monster that he truly is, not as a bear, but as a human. See, while in the past, hunting was necessary for food and clothing, the Native Americans and First Nation people believed that hunting for sport or vengeance to be sacrilegious, and animals, even ones they hunt, deserve people's respect. By killing a bear out of spite, Kenai upset that balance of nature, and the only way he could amend for his mistake was to accept responsibility and care for the cub he orphaned. He does what Sitka did, putting the life of his younger brother before his own. There is a sequel that has a more romantic Beauty and the Beast plotline, Brother Bear 2, in which we meet Kenai's childhood friend Rapunzel, Nita, who is arranged to be married, but the spirits won't allow it because she's already matched with Kenai. To break their bond, Nita must go with Kenai to the equinox and burn the amulet he gave her long ago, not knowing he gave it out of love. It almost causes a rift between Koda and Kenai, as Koda worries Kenai will go back with Nita as a human and leave him all alone. When the amulet is burned, Nita goes back, but she still thinks of Kenai, and so in the end refuses to marry Akka. But then Koda shows up to bring Nita back, because he wants Kenai to be happy, and the hunters chase him. And Kenai tries to save him, but is pushed off a cliff by Akka. The spirits then show up, and Koda says it's okay if Kenai wants to be human again, but Kenai can't leave Koda. I mean, he's a cub. And he's still Kenai's responsibility after what happened in the last movie. So Nita decides to become a bear instead. And they're all together as bears. Yeah, I know, I rushed through that plotline because, while it's cute, it's not as intricately woven as the plotline of the first movie. But it does continue Kenai's journey of living by the totem of love, and that sometimes you have to make changes for the one you love. In a positive way, of course, like you might have to adopt a certain lifestyle or culture, or agree to be a surrogate parent to the child of your significant other, or you move to a new place entirely. Let's face it, love of any kind requires change, whether you intend for it to happen or not. Or rather, it requires adaptability, and you can always make room in your heart for another person, from a brother to a lover to a friend. But the real moral of the story is don't kill bears. We don't need their skins anymore. Leave them alone. All right, so that is all I have on Brother Bear. I'm glad I finally got to this after saying I would do it for months, and then I get sick, and then I do my Valentine's special, and yeah, boy. Okay, any questions from the chat here, from my patrons who have been so patient with me this whole time? Thank you so much. I see. And BellaPinkSavage says, Koda is a baby and must be protected at all costs. Yeah, I don't know why people hate this movie or consider it one of the worst, because it is beautiful. It did terribly at the box office. I don't know what was going on with Disney in the early 2000s in terms of marketing, but I really think those movies, like Brother Bear, Treasure Planet, and Atlantis, were just all born in the wrong decade, because they are amazing. And Bella agrees with me. They're really good movies. Home on the Range, okay, doesn't really go in that category. Sorry. So, The poll I've set up with my remaining Beauty and the Beast topics had a three-way tie. So I will be doing those three topics in the order of how fast I can put my analyses together. For next week, since March is Women's History Month, I think it's appropriate to start off with a movie featuring a strong female lead, and that is Studio Ghibli's The Cat Returns. It'll be an interesting one, that's for sure. All right, until next time, remember, animals are living beings too. Being a man doesn't mean being all tough and impulsive and killing bears. And Canadian moose are hilarious. Sorry, I'm a huge Rick Moranis fan. Okay? Hey? Yeah, you could shoot me now.